This story, it ain't slowing down. It just keeps unraveling like a twisted movie script.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Every new detail hits harder, pulling us deeper into a world full of secrets, shady power moves, and industry tension that's way past the boiling point. It all kicked off as quiet gossip in the music scene. But now, it's a full-blown mess of court drama, wild accusations, and hidden dirt that's clawing its way out of the grave. And right in the eye of the storm, two giants, Sean, Diddy Combs, and Drake, once cool enough to snap pics together at big-time events, now they're caught in a beef that's way more explosive than just some music rivalry. This ain't just about rap hits or chart spots. Nah, this is about control, respect, and the ruthless game of loyalty that rules the industry behind closed doors.
But the truth is, in 20 years, I never been on a commercial audition in my life. Like, I never let my tour get sponsored when I was broke.
The roots of all this madness trace back to one chaotic night, December 2014, Miami. A wild after-party turned into a war zone when, according to multiple people, Diddy and Drake got into it for real. Witnesses say it popped off over the beat for 0 to 100, a track that shot Drake to a new level. But word is, that same beat was promised to Diddy first. Diddy felt straight up played. He told people that beat was snatched from right under him. But was this really just about a song? Or was that beat just the spark that lit a deeper fire already burning between them? What happened next wasn't just drama, it was straight chaos. Reports flew in that Drake had to get checked out by doctors after the fight.
I saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of...
Incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty.
The media buzzed, but insiders were hearing something darker. Whispers of a bounty being put on Drake's head started creeping through the streets. Diddy kept it chill in public, saying the beef was blown out of proportion. But the word in the streets, totally different. There were calls being made every time Drake touched down in the city. People were tracking him. LA ain't just palm trees and movie sets, it's a place where power moves in silence. And Drake knew the game. Literally. He linked up with the game, a real force in the city. And guess what? The game later said he got approached to line Drake up, but instead, he chose to protect him. This wasn't just loyalty, it was chess, not checkers. Drake wasn't out here looking for backup just to feel safe. He needed real street muscle to match Diddy's heavyweight pull. And the game? He had that juice. Teaming up with him was more than a smart move. It was survival in motion. Their bond hit the spotlight with the track 100, shot deep in Compton. But behind the scenes, total chaos. People on set say Drake was twitchy the whole time, straight up paranoid. He kept scanning the crowd, and when he spotted some unknown faces, he dipped out fast. The game's crew had to hunt him down just to calm him and bring him back. Even with security locked in, Drake wasn't playing with his safety. No chances, no slip-ups. The fear, it was real.
With all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
The fact he felt unsafe around his own crew's set said everything. This wasn't ego flexing anymore. This was survival mode. But the drama didn't stop in the studio or on the block. It crept into private lives and relationships, pulling even more people into the storm. Years later, courtroom shockwaves hit when Cassie, Diddy's former partner, dropped some serious claims. During her testimony, she said things got violent after Diddy found out she was planning to hit up Drake's OVO Fest in Toronto. And this wasn't just a jealous reaction. It sounded like straight-up control. Cassie still showed up at the festival, though, standing on her own despite the fallout. And that move? It lit a whole new fire. The streets started buzzing that something deeper might have been going on between her and Drake, way beyond music. Court documents hinted that their connection was more than professional, and it added a whole new layer to this twisted saga. The feud was no longer just about beats and bars. It had sunk its claws into everything around them. But Drake? He wasn't just defending himself. He was leaving coded messages in his tracks. Songs like 4 p.m. in Calabasas weren't just flexes. They were lyrical missiles aimed right at Diddy. And that line, "Take that?" Yeah, everyone caught the shade. Take that! A cold, mocking jab straight at Diddy's signature phrase. Then Drake drops, "The higher I get, the less they accept me." That wasn't just a bar. It was a cry from a man who felt cornered, watched, maybe even set up. Fans weren't just vibing to the track, they were decoding every lyric like it was evidence from a crime scene. Suddenly, Drake wasn't just rapping, he was leaving clues in plain sight, building his case. But then the feud twisted into something even darker. Old whispers about Diddy's legendary parties started creeping back into the convo. And guess who had already warned the world? Comedian Katt Williams. He'd been hinting for years that tapes existed, tapes that could take down some of the most powerful names in the game. And Drake's name? It was getting whispered too. Williams claimed the tapes showed big industry figures in wild, compromising scenes. And while nothing's leaked, the feds got their hands on them. The tapes are sealed up tight under investigation, but just the rumor of them lit a whole new fire. If Drake's voice is on there, even if he wasn't doing anything shady himself, it could flip this whole story upside down. Was he just in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was he deeper in it than anyone dared to say out loud, until now? Meanwhile, the walls are closing in on Diddy. Federal charges are stacking up. Lawsuits keep dropping. His empire, cracking at the seams. Folks who used to ride with him are backing away fast. Every day it feels like another bombshell hits the net. And Drake? He's moving low-key but smart. He's keeping his distance, not making noise, but sending subtle signals. One cryptic Instagram story referenced The Big Short, a movie all about spotting disaster before it hits. Fans took it as Drake's way of saying, "I saw what was going down, but I never signed up for it." Still, you can't erase the history between these two. Their paths are tangled. From collabs that never dropped, to beefs that boiled over into the spotlight. Whatever's next, it's personal, and the world's watching. Their relationship? A ticking time bomb built on power moves, secrets, and straight-up mistrust. And now, with Diddy drowning in the most serious accusations of his entire career, that spotlight ain't just on him anymore. It's blazing on everyone in his circle. The questions are loud. Who knew what? How deep did the game really go? And most of all, who's the next one to fall as Diddy's empire starts collapsing around him? This ain't some basic rap beef. It's way bigger than clashing over beats or bars.
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
The government wanted to turn himself in because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
Every jail is bad, and some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him Why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail is not your first argument. That's sort of...
We're getting a real peek into how this industry works behind the scenes, where loyalty is fake, alliances are paper thin, and secrets are currency. Each new piece of info is like a missing puzzle piece clicking into place. And what it's showing? The cracks in Diddy's legacy run deeper than anyone thought. But it's not just about him anymore. It's the whole culture that's being exposed. And the storm between Diddy and Drake? It's far from over. If anything, this feud is just now starting to show how deep it really goes. And just when you thought things couldn't get darker, they do. Fast. Diddy's once bulletproof empire is crumbling. And this ain't just random fallout. It's calculated, targeted, growing by the day. Those long whispered stories about his infamous parties, the ones the industry kept brushing off for years, they're not whispers anymore. They're evidence. Court docs and witness testimony are finally pulling back the curtain on what really went down at those events, and it ain't glitz and glam. These weren't just wild parties. According to the filings, they were setups. Power traps built to draw people in and lock them into silence, shame, or worse. And now, the ones who were there, the people who saw it all, they're talking. And what they're saying is chilling. Multiple accusers have stepped up to describe how those nights played out. They say once you crossed those velvet ropes, Diddy called the shots. He used his power not just to flex, but to create situations where people could be pressured, cornered, and controlled. Witnesses say the guest list at these parties wasn't random. It was handpicked. Young, ambitious folks hungry to step into the flashy world of fame. But once they walked in, everything changed. The vibe shifted. It wasn't about music, fun, or networking anymore. It was about control. Eyes everywhere. Power in play. Phones snatched at the door. Security locked in tight with one mission: make sure no footage ever leaked, no secrets ever slipped. You weren't just partying, you were being watched. And once you were in, there was no turning back. This control didn't stop at the party gates. It bled into the very structure of the industry itself. Former staffers who worked under Diddy say they lived in fear. Behind the glossy image, assistants and security guards, some now speaking out anonymously, claim they were forced to help keep these events running smooth and quiet. Their job? Don't ask, don't speak, just obey. One former worker from Diddy's private estate said in a leaked deposition that they were ordered to wipe certain things from the system. Guest lists, camera footage, gone. It wasn't just sketchy, it felt dangerous. They said even asking about what happened could put you at risk. That place?
They can't move in the general population. And would he be at risk? Sure, he'd be at risk. There's so many people that have nothing to lose, right? They're going to be in jail the rest of their life. They've got nothing to, they want their 15 minutes of fame. They were friends with Diddy, or they hurt Diddy, or they Diddy, or they did. I mean, there's so many, people in jail that this would be their moment. You can't put them there. Plus,
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting.
It wasn't just a mansion, it was a locked box full of buried truths. Then came the contracts. Not your average NDA stuff. Leaked documents show that a lot of staff were forced to sign paperwork so extreme, it shocked legal experts. These contracts didn't just say keep quiet. They said you couldn't talk to anyone, not even the police, unless you were legally dragged into court. And if you broke that silence, the fines could wreck your life. We're talking financial ruin level penalties. Lawyers have already said those contracts probably can't even hold up in court. But that didn't matter. The message they sent was loud and clear. Speak out and your life's over. And for years, that fear worked. People stayed quiet. The risks felt way too heavy. What's even more disturbing? This silence wasn't just for the hired help. It ran deep into Diddy's circle. Former artists, producers, collaborators, they all played along. There was an unspoken rule: talk too much, and your career's done. One anonymous producer who worked on several top-tier projects said Diddy's influence went way beyond his own label. People knew better than to cross him. They say there was a silent network, gatekeepers in the shadows, making sure anyone who even thought about exposing Diddy got shut out. No phone calls returned, no deals, no studio time, just doors closing, one by one. These claims are hard to prove, but they line up perfectly with the chilling pattern of control and quiet threats that now defines the allegations against him. But let's be real. It wasn't just about what went down at those parties. It was about the machine that let it all slide. A system built to protect power, not people. One bizarre twist? In the middle of all this heat, legal sources say Diddy tried to turn himself in. But instead of letting that play out, authorities swooped in and arrested him anyway. Why? Some say it was a legal move. They didn't want him walking in on his own terms because then he could have fought for pre-trial release. This wasn't just about uncovering secrets. It was about manufacturing them. And here's where it gets even darker. The most damning claims suggest these weren't just wild parties. They were setups, carefully staged traps. Powerful figures were allegedly lured into shady situations, some filmed without their knowledge. Former guests say cameras were hidden, footage was collected, and just like that, leverage was created. Quiet blackmail, invisible chains, and this didn't stop at rival execs or outsiders. People inside Diddy's circle weren't safe either. Former employees have come forward saying they saw hard drives, folders labeled and stacked, holding video after video. Footage was cataloged, stored, and never spoken of. That kind of archive? That's not for memories, that's insurance. Is that why so many stayed silent for so long? Not because they were loyal, but because they were scared of what might leak? Then there's Drake, the one guy who seems to have walked through this storm without getting burned. He's kept his distance from Diddy's name, at least in public. But the rumors? They won't die. Insiders whisper that Drake's presence at some of these events wasn't totally voluntary. Some say he was invited. Others say he was summoned. Just enough pressure to remind him who still held the power in the room. Diddy's empire is falling apart piece by piece, and now the lawsuits are stacking up like dominoes. Each one hits harder than the last, dragging out new details and exposing sides of him the public never imagined. Former friends, business partners, and close associates are finally breaking their silence. And the picture they're painting? It's not just messy, it's dangerous. One ex-employee dropped a bombshell lawsuit claiming Diddy personally set up a heated showdown with a rival exec that spiraled into threats and straight-up intimidation. Another individual said they were forced to sign an NDA after witnessing what they described as unthinkable behavior. Think about that. Not asked, coerced. These aren't one-offs, they're patterns, consistent, chilling, and they're all pointing in the same direction, toward a man who thought he was untouchable. And then there's the talk of the tapes. Nobody in the public has laid eyes on them yet, but just mentioning their existence has the entire industry shook. Some insiders say those tapes are the ultimate weapon. Insurance stacked with footage that, if it ever leaked, could wreck multiple careers in seconds. Others think it's all smoke and mirrors, just a scare tactic to keep folks quiet. But whether they're real or not, one thing's for sure, the fear, very real. Industry folks are walking on eggshells. No one knows who might have what, who's sitting on secrets, or who's next to get exposed. And with the court battles heating up fast, the million-dollar question hanging in the air is simple. Will those tapes ever come out? While all that's unraveling, Cassie's story brought a whole new level of intensity to the situation. Her testimony didn't just go after Diddy's actions, it showed the emotional and mental grip he had on those close to him, Her words exposed manipulation, control, and fear so deep it had her locked in for years. And even with her status and voice, it still took this long for her to step forward. That fact alone is shaking people up, because if she struggled to speak up, what about all the others? The ones without platforms, lawyers, or support systems? But the real gut punch in all of this, it's what this whole scandal is revealing about the industry itself. An industry built not just on talent, but on silence. Loyalty wasn't earned, it was expected. For years, Diddy was the power broker, the gatekeeper, the shot caller. One phone call from him could make or break a career, and everybody knew it. That kind of influence made people stay quiet, even when the vibes felt off, even when the behavior raised eyebrows. People didn't speak. They stayed in line. Why? Because going against Diddy meant risking everything. Now, the truth is clawing its way out. The question echoing through every studio, every label, every boardroom is this. Just how deep does this go? Is Diddy a one-man storm, or is he just the face of a culture that's been hiding in plain sight all along? We're seeing the ripple effects hit hard. Collaborators are cutting ties. Brands are pulling back fast. The industry is scrambling to clean up while the world watches it unravel. And the public? They're left trying to piece together how someone once praised as a legend could have been hiding so many dark secrets. But it ain't over yet. Not even close. Because if those tapes are real, and if they ever get out, it could shake the entire game. Who's in them? What do they show? And most importantly, who else gets dragged into the light? This started as a clash over a song. Now it's a full-blown war over power, control, and the truth. And this war is just heating up. So if you're locked in and want to keep up with every twist, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below. What do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Let's talk about it. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Stay sharp, because this story's only getting wilder.